Being in Colorado and all, having a TPI bike makes life a tad bit easier. I have done over 250 hours on this bike, and so far no regrets, in a way. But I will get to that later on.
This is our first time on this single track, so let's see how it is.
Earlier on my channel, I did a 100-hour review of the TPI 250. Sure, I was not that experienced, not a very good rider, but I was also new to the dirt bike world. So I personally believe a review from a new rider's perspective is important, since most riders around have been doing it since childhood. Now that I have over 250 hours, this review might change quite a bit. I've been riding for a total of 2 years. So to many people, especially those who have been riding since childhood, I might be quite a new rider to them still, but that's okay. This review is more intended for the new rider, the intermediate rider community.
That was fun, dude. Charles, you can haul. It's rocky. Yeah, it's rocky. Even like it's cow shit and little loose rocks. Easily though. It felt pretty. It felt easy, didn't it? Or kind of easy?
A little bit.
Yeah.
It's still kind of sloppy.
On video, you made it look easy. Slow down. You're good.
There was a time when I thought I wanted a 300 KTM or Husky, mostly for the low end, because I do like rocky trails, and being out in Colorado, that 300 definitely out in elevation can really give a helping hand. Well, I think this might have changed for me. The 250 is all about being in the Revs, being in that power band, and at 250 hours, still being somewhat of a new rider at 2 years of experience, I'm finding myself being in the Revs a lot more fun. The fun factor is just so much higher. Now that I have a little bit experience, I definitely have to say the 250 TPIs, KTM or Huskies, they are very unique. They're different. They're not like your average two-stroke, although they do spin up pretty fast, especially if you lower the gearing and change the mapping. You see, the 250i, KTM or the Huskies, they force you to be in the Revs to get moving. And for a new rider, it helps you get faster. Sure, I might not be the best rider out there. In fact, I am definitely not even close to being a very good rider. I'm not very good at doing waterfall obstacles or rock ledges and stuff like that. But being an average trail rider, and yet only having 2 years of experience, I have to say the 250 KTM and Huskies, their linear power delivery really helps my confidence, It helps me obtain speed, it helps me get faster, it helps me properly ride two strokes. When I first got my TE250i, within a few months of riding, I started asking myself, is the TE250i really for me? I'm kind of a lugger, I'm not very well experienced. Perhaps I should have gotten the KTM 300 or the Husky 300. It has a lot more low-end grunt, it's much easier to ride, I don't have to be in the revs. But then that defeats the purpose of owning a two-stroke. The 250, it's all about being in the revs. And at 250 hours, I have to say, it has taught me to ride a little bit faster. Instead of lugging around corners, and instead of trying to crawl up obstacles, I almost have no choice but to hit them in the revs. And for a new rider, this is a good thing. This is why I am slowly changing my opinion about the 250i. It's great for advanced riders, but it's also really good for beginner riders. Advanced riders can really tackle some serious stuff being in the revs. The fun factor is much higher, while for the new rider, you have no choice but to be in the revs. Every corner, every obstacle, every log, you have to be in the revs to pop that front tire up. At 250 hours, it allowed me to test ride many two-strokes from different manufacturers. One thing comes to mind every time I ride different two-strokes. From Betas, Yamahas, Hondas, it don't matter. There's something particular with the TE250i and the KTM's 250 fuel injections. Smoothness. That is the best way I can describe it. Compared to any other model, the 250, it's just ridiculously smooth. The way the bike feels, the way the bike delivers its power, to how it just climbs over anything. It's incredibly smooth.
Stay on the pipe! Stay on the pipe!
Reliability. That was my main concern about buying a TPI bike. I ended up getting a 2019 because I was kind of concerned with the 2018. But with the TPI models first being introduced to dirt bikes, that had me a little bit concerned. How would the piston look? Or the cylinder? Will I have any scoring? What about my rings? How will they be worn out? At 250 hours, I believe this is very crucial. At first, I started off as a lugger, but as the time passed by, I found myself riding in the revs more and more. The oil pump, it never failed on me. I never had any issues with the TPI models, other than the dash. But Husqvarna ended up changing that under warranty for free. It still starts up every time. It still delivers that perfect linear power. When I changed my top end at 200 hours, I checked the spark plug and everything looked to be running as normal. I'm yet to foul a spark plug. I'm yet to be stranded. The TPI models have yet to give me a serious issue. The only thing that I have ever done was actually send my dirt bike to the dealership to get it remapped. Supposedly, a new mapping came out for KTMs and Husqvarnas, something with smoother delivery, but that actually made my two-stroke feel like a two-stroke again. I believe the only small issue that I had was just that. It was some kind of pinging, almost acting like a rev limiter, but that was really solid for only $55. The best part about owning this 250i is there's plenty of power for me to grow into. There's 2 mappings on it. You can go very easy or make it a little bit more aggressive. With the TPI model, it also introduces you and also includes a new cam, a throttle cam. You can make it spin up even faster if you wanted to. From the dealer, the stock throttle cam, it's the most mellow type of delivery there is, but there's a more aggressive one if you choose to use it. So there's many inexpensive ways to grow into this dirt bike, to get more power out of it.
All right, so for the TE250i, guys, the TE250i, you know, I've been riding for about 2 years right now, and honestly, it's been a great machine, especially when I first started off as like a new rider. Being a new rider and everything, like, it was perfect control for me. I didn't get hurt. You know, I switched the map setting to 1, and then once I got a little more comfortable with the power, I switched it to 2. All right, but there's actually a few things I don't like about the TE250i. One of the biggest weak points on the TE250i is actually the composite subframe. The composite subframe, first of all, I think it comes in 3 pieces. The top part is $200, the left part is $150, and the right part is about, I think it's about the same price. That's a pretty expensive composite subframe, or just subframe in general. That's a lot of money, and a lot of people have cracked their composite subframe. But yeah, so far at 250 hours, the other issue that I had was also the dash. I think at 100 hours, the dash kind of gave away, or I think it was like 150 hours, the dash kind of gave away. Other than that, I mean, as far as reliability and stuff like that, I haven't had any issues. As far as the piston goes, you know, I did the piston, the top end change at 200 hours with this Mountain Life, and you know, the cylinder and the piston had no scoring or anything like that. Everything in the cylinder looked well lubricated. And the spark plug, actually, the spark plug looked good. I mean, it didn't look to be running, at least in my area in Colorado, it didn't look to be running too rich or lean. The spark plug was just perfect. But yeah, at 250 hours, coming from a new rider, you know, I first bought my TE250i at about, I think I was 3 months or maybe 4 months of riding. You know, it was a perfect bike for me to grow into. Just change the map setting to 1, or I think it was 2, I don't remember, but you just change the map setting, and it's a very linear but yet powerful bike, but it was still mellow at the same time. Once you get more experience, you could change the sprocket to a 53. Sometimes I do wish I had a 300 so I could lug around on the really slow technical stuff, but then if I'm not riding in the revs, usually to me that indicates my skill level is not there yet. Because there were certain areas on trails that I've done where, you know, at first I started lugging, I was crawling, and then over time I started hitting that same obstacle in the revs, at least mid-range. And, you know, to me that's just an indicator, hey, now I'm good enough to ride this in the revs. And as time goes by, you know, it's a good bike to grow into.
Do I have any regrets buying this TPI bike? None whatsoever. By far, out of all the 2-strokes I have ever ridden, it's been incredibly smooth. And not just smooth, but the power is incredibly predictable. Even though the 250i is meant to be ridden in the revs, it definitely has a strong yet very smooth bottom end power that makes it very easy to lug around down low. The engine definitely hits pretty hard mid-range and even signs off very smooth and easygoing up in the high range. The WP forks It does an excellent job absorbing rocks, roots, and even some of the braking bumps. Although it might provide a little bit more feedback for my taste. I do prefer a much more plusher ride, but that could always be resolved with some suspension tuning. Anyhow guys, the TPI bike at 250 hours, I have no regrets whatsoever. This is a bike I definitely would like to keep in the long run. Perhaps when new TPI models gets released within a few years, I might consider another one. But till then, just go ahead and subscribe, hit that bell button, and I'll catch you guys in my next video.